On this video, we want to talk about the layer manager, and that is right up here below the plugins on my screen. So at the very top, you click on layer manager, and you should get a dialog box that'll come up looking like this. That can be moved around wherever you want. Okay, right now we've got layer 0 is the only layer that's there. That is by default. And what we want to do is add some layers. So we can do all the layer functions right here. We can add a new layer. We can add a layer to the view. It's a whole other story. We don't need to worry about that. We can delete a layer. But I have to tell you, to delete a layer, there can't be anything on it. And make a layer the current layer. So we'll add a new layer by clicking that. And you can see it comes up with layer 1. That's by default. You can name that whatever you want. I'm going to create a layer called visible. And I want to change the color of that, so I'll come over here under the color column. Now you can note that these are all different column labels. Okay, I'm going to actually, let's see if we can, we can double click that and it'll automatically make it the right size for what we're doing. So why not? I'm just double clicking those. And that's all I need for now. I want to change the color, so I'll just click on the word white and I'll change that. Maybe I'll make it red. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. We'll use the continuous line type. If we click on that, we see that's the only line type that's loaded right now. We'll talk about loading those here in a minute. The line weight that is defaulted, we do want that to be a thicker line. Now if we were using pencils, we would use a 0.7 millimeter pencil on the drawing board. And we want it to plot, so we'll just leave this alone. If you turn that up, if you click on that, it won't plot that particular layer. You could still see it, but it won't plot. Over here, if we have it turned on, of course you'll be able to see it. If we turn it off, you can't see it. If we thaw it, if it's thawed right now, it shows up as a sun. That means that you can see it and you can do things to it. If we freeze it, you can't see it and you basically can't do anything to it. So you can actually have things occur if it's turned off, but if you freeze it, it's basically like locking it. If you lock a layer, then you can't alter anything on that layer. That happened to a student the other day. They locked the layer and couldn't manipulate anything, and we're wondering why. Well, that's something you need to check then. So that's the visible layer. I want to create another layer, and I'm going to call it hidden. The hidden layer, I'll make a different color. We'll make it yellow. And I want a different line type. Now I want a hidden line type, so I have to load them down here. And when I load these, I'm actually going to load more than the hidden. I need to load the center line types. I have 3 different styles. Center, which is normal style. Center 2, which is half the spacing. And center times 2, which is twice the spacing as center 1. So I'm going to load all those. I'll just hold down my control key and pick all 3 of them. And I'm going to do the hidden the same way. And again, the hidden, and I'll control. And I can pick these 3 as well as the other 3. So there's hidden, hidden 2, which is half the size of hidden 1, and hidden times 2, which is twice the size. And I'll hit OK, and you can see they're loaded now. Now I'm going to put this on hidden 2, so that's my line type there. I also want to change the line weight, and I want to make that actually 0.5 millimeters is what the hidden would be in the drafting world. Everything else is okay, so I'll leave that like it is, and I'll start a new layer, and I want to call this one dimensions. I'm going to change the color on it. Oh, we'll go with green. And I need that to be continuous. So we'll find the continuous here if we can. There it is. Okay. And it is a thin line as well, so we'll leave it at 0.5. I also want to create another layer called center lines. And I'll leave it green and continuous. I'll leave it the same as the dimensions. I just want to be able to segregate it. And also note that when we put dimensions on the drawing, we'll get another layer called def points. And it will be similar to these other layers, but it will have an icon over here and it will not plot. So that's the difference there. So right now we just have these 4 plus this one that's the original. Now if I want to start drawing the parts, I would click on visible, click on current, and now that's the current layer. And you can see up here we have visible showing up as the current layer. And we could pick another one, and now things would be drawn as on the dimension layer. So normally I'm going to start with the visible. So when I start drawing objects, they will take on the characteristics of that visible layer. Now if I change to another layer, let's say hidden, and I start drawing objects, they take on the attributes of the hidden line type. Now that has a really weird spacing, so I might try to pick that and change the line type scale to hidden 2, maybe even hidden 1. There's hidden 1, and I can hit escape and get out of that. Then if I go to another layer, let's say the center lines. Oh, and I forgot to do something on the center lines. I need to use the center line type. So what I'm going to do is go back to the layer manager, and on the center lines I'll use this center. I'll start with center and we'll see how that looks. And we'll start by drawing in some center lines then. Okay, and that looks okay. Now realize if we make that a shorter line, it's not going to look the same. In fact, that one doesn't look, it doesn't even look like a center line. But as I drag that out, notice it automatically changes the spacing depending on what I need. Okay. Now also I would say that if you go to the layer manager, if you go in there and change that, let's say we change the line type to twice as big, if we change that, then it automatically updates everything that's on that layer unless it's overridden right here. If it says by layer, it will do whatever that layer does. If you change it and override it to let's say continuous, then that line will stay continuous no matter which layer you go to. Or even if we go in here and we change this to let's say hidden 2. See, this one changes, this one doesn't, because it has the override on it of continuous. If we switch that back to by layer, then it takes back the properties of the layer. So that's a little bit about the layer operations and how they'll work.